When I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.
All right, welcome to another week of MUGA, Make United Great Again. This is me, Elijah, scripter, as some people call me, and I'm joined by Stevie. How you doing?
Yeah, what's happening, man?
Good, good. And I'm joined by Reemz as well.
Yo, man, what's going on?
Good, good. There's a few things before obviously we get into the pod. As usual, the Discord. Yeah, you have to join the Discord. That place is fucking fun, I can't lie. It's just amazing, especially when there's a game on, live game, the agendas that run, the jokes that's had in there, so live. So get on there, join it. There's Liverpool section, Chelsea section, Arsenal section, obviously United section, Spurs. There's general football. There's courtside fracas. There's all of that. So there's loads of stuff going on in there. Then obviously we've got our Patreon. Should be some pieces coming this week. Just so that's exclusive. That's exclusive content that can't be had for free. So obviously we need to eat. So boy, better sign up. Then obviously the YouTube, it drops on the Wednesday after this drops today. So if you're more of a like a visual watcher, then that's for you. That'll come on the Wednesday, and that'll be all that good stuff. Anyway, now that's out of the way. There was no football this week. You might count yourself lucky for that, after having to watch 3 weeks of the nonsense we had to endure. But the transfer window just ended, and we decided we were gonna look more in depth at the new players that we signed. Obviously we looked at Van der Beek a lot. So I'm gonna kick it off by talking about Alex Telles. Before we even started being linked with him, had any of you kind of watched him? Or really?
I'm not gonna lie, yeah. At my age, like, I don't have time, to be honest. At any age, I don't have time to be watching the Portuguese Superliga. So I'm not gonna lie, I hadn't paid any attention to him. I'd heard his name mentioned a couple of times, but not someone I'd closely watched, if I'm honest. And I think given like the profile of players we were supposedly trying to be signing with our current sort of system in place, I didn't think he'd be one that we'd go for, to be honest, because probably a bit on the older side. But yeah, hey ho, here we are.
What are you, Reemz?
I've known about him for quite a while, but I can't say like I've watched him a lot. I've maybe watched him like 2 or 3 times. I think the last time I seen him play, I was watching I think it was Porto versus Sporting Lisbon, but I was watching that game because of Nuno Mendes. Face for Sporting, who he was linked with, what I thought we would end up getting. But I guess we went for the older option, I guess the safer option with Alex Telles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he has the interesting player, but it could go either way. But we'll get into that.
Yeah. So really and truly, I just wanted to go through what a lot of people have said about him. I've seen a small bit of him, but not much. I've heard about him as well. So yeah, his best attributes really are his crossing and his offensive play, dead balls, weaknesses defensively and stuff like that. So I'm trying to think, what do you think that is going to add to the United team, if that's the case?
Yeah, so obviously we've had Luke Shaw now going on. I think Luke Shaw is like one of the longest serving United players at the club at the minute, which is just is crazy. But obviously, since he broke his leg, I think it was in the Champions League that time. Like, he's never recovered as an attacking force, to be honest. So, with obviously Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who can't play football on the right side of the team, we need something. We need something from one of our fullbacks. You see the way the game is going, attacking wise. So, especially with Rashford on that side of the field as well, I think it'll be good to have fullback who can sort of give him that underlap or overlap, or yes, overlap, and give him some more options, to be honest, because I feel like he's getting a bit pegged on the left. But defensively, I've got some concerns for Telles, because obviously he does most of his work in the opponent's half. I don't know what he's going to be like defensively, but even though Shaw's not amazing, I don't think he'll be as strong as Shaw going backwards. And we've got Maguire on that side as the left-sided centre-back as well. So if Telles is getting exposed, and you already saw the way we were getting done by Tottenham, if Telles is getting exposed high up and caught up the pitch, it could spell even more of a massacre. So he just needs to do his job going forward and ensure the ball ends in the back of the net, because if it comes back the other way, it could be very long.
Yeah, so one interesting thing about him, because that I saw recently, is they compared him and Shaw statistically. So in terms of what they think are the biggest strengths over fullback, Shaw actually outdone Telles on a lot of things. So especially stuff like ball progression, so like passing the ball forward from left back. Shaw actually statistically done better than Telles last season. So I want to know, seeing as ball progression is a big problem for us, how do you expect us to mitigate that responsibility on Telles, Reemz?
I don't really care about that, to be honest. It's kind of hard to judge. It's kind of hard to judge defenders based on those kind of stats. Like a lot of defending is intangible. So going forward, Telles offers something very specific that Luke Shaw doesn't, and he offers an overlapping threat. And not only does he offer an overlapping threat, he offers quality in his final ball when he overlaps, which is something that even when Luke Shaw did overlap, you can never trust the quality of his final ball to actually create anything dangerous. And not only does he offer an overlapping threat, he could cross from deep as well. So like a lot of the time when Luke Shaw got the ball out on the left in dangerous areas, he'll pass it square, or he'll pass it back to Maguire, or give it to Rashford, and Rashford will try to create something. That's why his ball progression stats are so high, because he's always trying to play simple, safe passes. Alex Telles will get the ball in that same position and he will launch the ball into the box. And that will create something more dangerous than whatever it is Luke Shaw was doing. You know what I mean? Like Alexander-Arnold, for an example. You don't expect him to. He doesn't dribble. He doesn't do anything really fancy. He gets the ball, he switches play, or he gets the ball and launches it into the box, and he creates big chance after big chance after big chance after big chance. So, for me, those stats aren't really that relevant in terms of Luke Shaw offering something positive over Telles, because from what I've seen of Telles as well, he's brave enough to try and dribble if he's in a 1v1 situation, which Luke Shaw isn't. He's brave enough to try an aggressive pass through the lines. It might not be his first option, but he's brave enough to do it. But he likes to do little give and goes on the wing where he could pass it running behind and cross it in. So these are the kind of things that we've been lacking at fullback since probably ever. You know what I mean? So I feel like those stats don't really mean much to me. Going forward, Telles offers way more than Luke Shaw did, and way more that we get on the right hand side from Wan-Bissaka. So that straight away is a positive. Defensively, I don't know if he's the most athletic. I don't know if he's the most aggressive, defending on the front foot, but he's quite tall. He's 5'11". So at the very least, he'll challenge stuff in the air. He'll head the ball away at the back post at the very least. You know what I mean? So I don't know if he'll be a disaster defensively, but he at least kind of has the tools to provide some positives defensively. But where we're really gonna get the most out of him is how he's gonna just transform our attack by providing width from the fullback position, which we don't have, and by providing a crossing threat, or a cross and inshallah threat, if you will, that we stupidly lack. And we know having a quality crosser is one of the most reliable ways to create consistent good chances. So I'm quite excited about that. I'm quite excited about how he's going to provide a new dimension to our attack and going to make us a little bit less stale going forward.
It's interesting that you talked about his height, because the one thing that Tellers did clear Shaw on was the amount of aerial duels that he won, and he's quite tall, and I think that's going to be important, because I do feel like a lot of the times people do switch the ball a lot. I think maybe that's because Shaw tucks in a bit too much, but they do switch the ball a lot, so I think that is a plus. But given the fact that his main strengths are going forward, how do we combat the potential space that he does leave in behind, when you think of the fact that there's Maguire that's going to be on his side, and there's going to be Matic that's going to be on his side as well?
It's impossible. It's impossible. Let's not play around. Like, we're gonna get absolutely savage.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible. It's obviously a change of personnel would help, but a change of formation would help as well. The easiest thing to do is a change to a 4-3-3, where we have a left central midfielder that will fill in that space when he goes forward, because we know Rashford isn't going to come back. So if you have a left central midfielder that fills in that space and tracks fullbacks and stuff like that when he goes forward, kind of like Wijnaldum does at Liverpool, then that will help combat that issue. But of course, there's going to be space left in behind. When you're an attacking team and you have a lot of the ball and you turn the ball over, of course, you're always susceptible to get countered. But there are definitely adjustments you can make to try cut out counters.
There are, but my point is, you already know who's at the helm. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I think it's wishful thinking to believe that Ollie's gonna depart from this 4-2-3-1 that he's been playing in order to accommodate Alex Telles. And I even think, I'm not sure who we'd actually play on that left side, because obviously Pogba's the one who probably fits most naturally into that position. But whether or not he'd cover the defensive spaces well enough is a different question. But I feel like Ole's too welded to that 4-2-3-1, and I genuinely don't know why. Maybe he feels he doesn't have the right personnel to play 4-3-3, but I don't think we've played 4-3-3 since like his first couple of games. So I just see
quite well as well. Like, obviously, but it suited the players that we had.
Yeah, 100.
I remember Carrick said something about they don't play a 4-3-3 because they're scared of teams using the DM as a pressing trigger, and I don't think they trust Matic, Fred, or McTominay.
Which is fair.
Yeah,
but that's fair though. But then that infuriates me more, because it just means, why didn't we find a DM? Like, why wasn't that even talked about this summer?
Well, that's just another story that I don't want to get into, to be honest. But
I don't think we was linked. I think we was linked with Thiago, which would have been ideal. But obviously, I feel like that was more like the Glazers was never really behind that. That was probably more pushing towards that. I don't think the ownership was ever really behind that signing.
But going, so obviously Telles is crossing from deep, from near, from the byline is very good. But who do you think that is going to benefit the most in terms of our front line currently? So between Rashford, Martial, Cavani and Greenwood, who do you think his crossing is going to benefit the most?
Cavani, because he has the best movement.
Yeah, it's to
and,
be honest.
And Van der Beek as well. If he
yeah, I forgot about,
because Van der Beek arrives in the box late. You can't really. He's good at ghosting in. He's good at identifying space. Hard to track him. So if those two can play together, it will benefit him as well. But definitely Cavani. Cavani, he's a ghost in the box. No one knows where he is. He just arrives out of nowhere. He's a ghost in the box. So if you got a guy that could consistently put balls into the dangerous areas where he's going to attack, then yeah, it's him. And I would hope it benefits Martial and Greenwood as well, because that's the part of the game that they need to improve as well. Obviously, Martial, he scored some headers last season on the odd occasion where we got some good deliveries into the box. So I won't say he doesn't have the capability, but maybe he just needs the right guy to give him that consistent service. So perhaps Martial as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because yeah, like if we're gonna be pinging in balls, and I ain't watched too much of Tele, so I don't know if he can play it on the ground like when he's pinging it in. But if you've got Cavani there, it would almost seem foolish not to be using his aerial prowess. But I don't know what that means for the team in general because obviously we've played through Martial throughout the whole of last season, and he did it very well. But if you get Tellez in, you've got someone who can really cross the ball, and you've got Cavani, someone who can bang them headers in. But we need them goals anyway, anyhow. So yeah, it would make sense to me for us to be starting Cavani there.
It would also be good if Greenwood at the back post, hopefully, because he doesn't really get that many of them goals, but we don't really cross it as much. So I'm hoping Teller's coming in.
The few occasions Greenwood got on the end of like crosses that I've seen so far in his career, he's not been that good. He's not really good at attacking the ball in the air. So that's like one part of his game that he needs to work on, as well as like his just natural movement in behind as well. When he like that, when he gets that part of his game down, that will take his game to the next level.
Cool. So the Cavani bit was actually a nice segue onto the fact that we got in Cavani. He was available all summer. Apparently he didn't move because his wage demands were too high, and last minute he dropped it. But anyway, his agent still got 10 million anyway. But the Cavani move, it's a weird one because no one really saw it as a priority in summer, but it did crop up sometimes that we were looking for an additional striker. What do you feel like is the most likely way we're going to use Cavani throughout the season?
Well, I felt like we was going to use him as like a secondary type of striking option, usually bringing him off the bench if we're chasing a goal, playing him in games where like we're rotating, strikers need a rest, maybe cup games. But if he's playing really well, he might end up forcing his way into the actual like main starting 11. So that might mean we rotate with how we play. We might go back to playing Martial and Rashford out wide to get him in. But I feel like mostly like we really needed another striking option other than Martial. And this summer we was linked with like Josh King or Luka Jovic and stuff like that. And when it was linked with all those players, everyone's thinking, yeah, these are nice players to bring in as backup striking options. So when we signed Cavani, I was just thinking that's exactly what he is. But because he's one of the best strikers of his generation, it's kind of hard to envision him coming in and just being a bench player, especially if he's playing well. So we'll see how it goes. But again, I'm not complaining. Like it's another attacking option, and like it's not like we're blessed with an array of quality attacking options. So I'm not gonna turn my nose up at us getting one of the best goal scorers of the last 10 years.
Stevie?
Yeah, not too much extra to add on to that. My only slight concern, obviously we're going to talk about Pelestri in a bit, is like South Americans at United, like they just absolutely fell. I don't know what it is. I don't know what happens, but when South Americans come to United, it's just never worked out well for us. So I'm just hoping the guy, obviously I saw him in the treadmill, like putting on mad work, but
he looks in great shape.
He looks in great shape. But then that treadmill thing and playing in the Premier League is two different things.
But guys like Cavani's just naturally a very athletic guy. Like guys like that are just naturally always in good shape. So I don't feel like other than him being fit enough to play isn't a concern. It's just the injuries. Obviously, his injury record isn't great. So that's the only real concern of the signing. But obviously, if he's fit to play, I don't worry about him not being up to pace or anything like that.
I don't know. I think at his age, obviously, having not played for what is the best part of like 7 months now, to come into a league that's more physically demanding than the league you're already in at the point he's in his career, it's gonna be a challenge for him. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he'll adapt pretty easily. I hope so, but it's definitely gonna be a challenge for him.
I mean, we spoke about the injuries, and since 2018, really, basically since the World Cup, it's been a string of muscle injuries. So that obviously the muscle injury from the World Cup July 1st, the reason why he missed the France game in the quarterfinal. Then he picked up another one in October, missed 9 days. Picked up another one in February, missed 21 days. Picked up another one in March, missed 25 days. Yeah, and then by the time we got to the 1920 season, got a hip injury, missed 52 days, missed 28 days apparently because of fitness, missed 4 days because of a calf injury, 4 days because of illness, 13 days because of a muscle injury, and then 17 days because of a groin strain. And that was all up until the end of January.
Well, that would have been quicker just to name when he was on the pitch.
That
then
was mad.
sounded spooky still, but again, for most of that time he was his team's main striker. You know what I mean? So like, we don't have to worry about him being the main striker in this situation. So I feel like anything we get from him is a positive bonus.
He's an upgrade on Igalo, that's for sure.
So we've spoken about having to play through Martial and how it'll be different with Cavani. What are the main things that Cavani has that will enable? What ways can we get the best out of Cavani that perhaps we'll have to change from playing through Martial?
Well, for me, I think if we come away from or we move away from Martial when Cavani's playing, I don't think Cavani's as tidy with the ball, dribbling wise, in tight spaces, and I don't think he's got the same pace as Martial at this point in his career. I also think that Martial is actually a better, dare I say it, finisher. I've seen Cavani miss or snatch out a lot of chances, but what Cavani does is he gets into the positions, he creates a lot of chances for himself, he fashions a lot of chances for himself. Obviously, we know about his movement and his ability off the ball and his aerial prowess. So I just think, like you were saying, Reemz, he just gives us another option. And you see a lot of games where in the second half we're struggling to break down teams, and I think if we can get Cavani on, then it just gives teams something different to think about, both in the air and on the ground as well. So yeah, I think like pretty polar opposites with Martial, to be honest.
I think a lot of the issues I've had with Martial as a striker is that there's some games where you feel like he doesn't give the defender much defending to do. You know what I mean? Like it's like he always wants the ball to feet. And sometimes when you always want the ball to feet, that kind of makes the defender's job easy because he could just stay tight to you the whole game. And then it's just a matter of if he'll get the better of you physically in those duels, you know what I mean? But if you're always moving around, if the defender's always having to track your run, if you're dragging defenders out of place and opening up the space for teammates, that opens up the game, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what Cavani will give us. It'll give us a lot more off the ball than Martial gives us. Obviously, Martial gives us a lot on the ball in terms of his hold up, his link play, his individual 1v1 quality that could create opportunities. But sometimes you need a guy that's just gonna disrupt a team's shape by dragging them all over the place, and that's definitely what Cavani gives you. And he's just a better goal scorer. Like he's there's not really any debate. He's just a better goal scorer. He knows how to get opportunities for himself to score. He knows how to poach. He knows how to link play. He knows how to associate as well. So there's a lot of positives that he'll give us. There's a lot of experience that he could give us. He's streetwise. You know, he could score ugly goals. You know what I mean? He could score screamers. Like whatever you need, really.
Because
if he was fit, Reemz, would you have him starting over Martial?
Not at this point of his career. I don't think. I feel like if we're really serious, we've got to stick with Martial. Like I feel like it would be crazy after Martial has the best season of his career as a striker to come in and just say, okay, yeah, we're going to bring in a 33-year-old to replace you. Like that sends like the wrong message for what we're building for, in my opinion. And it's kind of saying like we don't really rely on the striker that we're hoping is going to take us through to the future. You know what I mean? Because Cavani isn't that guy. You know what I mean? He's got maybe 1-2 years at best at this kind of level, whereas Martial has another 8, 10, like whatever it is. So I feel like if we're really serious with what we're building towards, then you have to stick with Martial.
Yeah, 100.
So, do you envision times where we could probably be at our best by having them both up front?
Yeah, I feel like it could work, to be honest.
I don't feel we have the wide players.
But yeah, that's the issue. But I think you could play them in a diamond,
Or three at the
potentially.
back.
Yeah, exactly. I could see them two linking up very well, because I feel like their strengths will play off each other very well. Whether Solskjaer is tactically cute enough in order to do that and get them working in one functioning team is a different question. I don't think he personally will. I can't see us playing a two up top, and I can't, to be honest, I can't see him moving Martial wide again after he moved him centrally. So I feel that it might be a case of one or the other rather than seeing both on the pitch at the same time, unless we're desperate.
Cool. And you spoke about the wide positions, and we all know about the infamous chase of Jadon Sancho all summer, which inevitably ended with us losing the battle to Dortmund and Sancho staying in Germany. But
That wasn't even a battle. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, man, I tried to talk us up a bit, but the rat still. But what did happen, quite strangely, we were linked with Dembele, but that didn't happen either. But what happened on the last day, we signed a winger from Uruguay, an 18-year-old called, I'm not going to pronounce his first name. His second name is Perlestri, though.
Yeah.
Facundo.
Facundo.
That's a wavy name. I can't lie.
Pass the name, Tessie. Pass the name.
He passes the name, says 100%. But yeah, so he's 18-year-old. He got his first starts in the Uruguayan league when he was 17. Plays for Penarol, which is Forlan's old team, and who Forlan used to manage. I think he's been
He was
sacked.
coaching them for a while, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the coach?
So,
What, you got sacked?
I think so.
Right, we're taking his opinion.
I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think he got sacked. But yeah, so he is a versatile attacker. Plays right wing, left wing. People say his future is centrally, but what is weird is that there's quite differing opinions on his style. So I've seen everything from the Barla, Messi, and Aymar to Daniel James. So from what you have, from the clips that you've seen of him, what do you think about his profile as a player?
I think from what I've seen, he looks like a typical, traditional, old-fashioned winger. Like touchline winger, could play given goals, could run in behind, could carry the ball up the field at pace. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't mind. Taking a challenge. He could ride a challenge. You know what I mean? He got quick feet. Looks athletic. You know what I mean? So if he was to play through the middle, he would kind of be like he wouldn't be like I couldn't say him like an Aymar kind of natural playmaker number 10. He'd be more like a Kaká number 10 and more like a explosive, in transition, ball carrying kind of number 10, you know what I mean? But from what I've seen, the little clips I've seen, he just looks like an out and out winger for me, you know what I mean? I see the Daniel James comparison, but he looks like he has a bit more about him than Daniel James does, you know what I mean? He isn't as bland as Daniel James, but I see the comparison, definitely. In terms of he's not really like a flair player or anything like that. Like he isn't really like he ain't gonna give you 2 step overs or anything like that. You know what I mean? But he'll use his pace to hurt you in behind. He'll use his pace to hurt you in transition, and you know what I mean. And he looks like he could link up as well. So I don't know. Like when I first seen him, I was a little bit like he looks a little mid. But like I've seen a few more comps. I've seen a couple like matches that he's played in the Libertadores and stuff like that, where he looks dangerous. So like he's only a kid as well. Like ideally, in his ideal situation, you wouldn't want to throw him straight into the situation that we got going on. You kind of want to give him a little bit of time to get accustomed to the league and accustomed to the country and stuff like that. Obviously, you know how it's going with us, but he's rough around the edges. But there might be something there to work with. You know what I mean? And if Daniel James could get like 40 games or something like that, like this kid looks better than Daniel James. Why can't he get 20, 30 games?
How much have you seen him, Stevie?
Yeah, bro. I think everyone's been watching the same 10-minute YouTube highlights. They're not even in 180p. They're like 480.
I got Insta still, so I've been watching them on Insta. Like,
Okay. Yeah, no, it's a bit mad, isn't it? Like, I don't see the Daniel James comparison. I'm not gonna lie, like he's pacey, but to me that's where the comparison ends, because Daniel James runs in a straight line to nowhere. This guy actually, like, he tries to weave in and out of traffic, and he does it pretty effectively. Like, I was looking at his close control, and it seems levels, but it's like, how much can you take from these clips when you're playing boys in the South American League? Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't actually know how good this player is, but he seems like he has ability. I think physically he's got a lot of growing to do. Like I said, I don't take too much from the South American League, because even moving from there to Spain or to Portugal is still like a jump. So from there straight to the Premier League, it's going to be a massive jump. So I think Ole would have to be in very hot water to try and blood him in the Premier League anytime soon. And I was listening to Tim Vickery, who's like a football Bible from. Hey, shout out my guy Tim Vickery, man. He knows it all, man.
Do you know what? Yeah, do you know what? This is what I'll say about Tim Vickery. He knows about South America, but his opinions.
Well, you're not buying them.
His opinions on players aren't good, but he knows all the players in South America. That's what I'll say.
He's got good information about all the players and all the clubs, and he's knowledgeable about all the players and all the teams and what's going on. But his actual
you can't apply it.
Analysis of players is always wrong.
Leave a lot to be declared.
Yeah, like there's not been a time I've seen a player I thought, yeah, Tim Vickery was right about him, but he knows about players.
Okay. Yeah. So Tim Vickery said that it's too early a move for him, so it means that he's going to be a fantastic player.
I mean,
on that basis,
yeah, because that's an easy take to make, because most people could really. I wouldn't say it's too early a move, but like I'd say it's too early for him to be a serious contributor for what we're aiming for. You know what I mean? Like, he looks like a guy that he doesn't look like, he's not like a no-brainer type talent, you know what I mean? He looks like a guy that needs coaching and development and like the right environment to like kind of cultivate his skills, you know what I mean? Which isn't what we are right now. So in terms of like saying it's too early, I kind of do get that, but hopefully we'll sort out the management structure one day and he could be a useful player for us. I'm rooting for him anyway. Like, I'm not rooting against the kid. Like, you know what I mean? It's like when we signed Daniel James, it's like there's no way this guy's ever going to be good. Like, but this kid, like, I don't feel that way about him.
But you know what? With Palestri, yeah, it just seems to me like in an ideal situation, he'd kind of have come in and maybe like be the replacement almost to like Angel Gomez. And not have to do too much too soon. But it just seems to me like he's not got the physical profile to be playing in the Premier League immediately. So I would have liked to have seen him go on loan somewhere where he could get some minutes. But we're in the situation we're in.
When Arsenal signed on Martinelli, he kind of like looked the same in terms of like his physical profile. Like he was super fast and super like played with good intensity. But you kind of felt that, maybe he looks a little flimsy. So maybe, and Martinelli was 18 when they signed him as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to hit the ground running like Martinelli, but when you're 18, it's not hard to develop physically, you know what I mean? Like, you're developing every single day. Maybe if you're Elijah, but like, for normal people.
Cool. But it's actually interesting because if you look through the teams he was linked with, he was very close to joining Lyon, but they backed out at the last minute because they didn't want to pay the release clause. But he was linked with Man City, and it came out this week apparently that Man City bid for him as well, but they also didn't want to pay the release clause. But I'm not sure about the veracity of that. And he's been linked with Real Madrid in the past as well, but we've been watching him for quite a while, and it does seem it was very left field. But going forward, what do you think would be the best case scenario in terms of by the end of the season? What would be a very good season for Pelestri?
If he saves Ole from the sack, then he's
Hey,
that would be the worst case scenario.
that's the worst case scenario for us.
Yeah. To be honest, I genuinely I think it's not a good look if we're bringing an 18-year-old South American to come and play right wing for us immediately. Like, I think if he has to do that, then like we're in a bad state. But I would like to see him like sort of coming on maybe at the end of games from maybe like January onwards and just like showing that he's got a bit of skill, something there. But I don't want to really see him starting personally because I think it's just a lot for someone who probably doesn't even speak the language, and obviously trying to settle in England and then trying to play at one of the biggest clubs in the world as well. It'd be a lot of pressure. So hopefully we just ease him in real slow, and he shows some glimpses of talent.
Like kind of like what we did with Greenwood, but obviously we don't have the luxury of having the Europa League this year, which would have benefited a player like him a lot. But if we could get him playing a couple Carabao Cup games, you know what I mean, when the FA Cup comes around, maybe a couple FA Cup games, and like just ease him in here and there, like what Stevie said. And if we give him a couple opportunities and he shows something, then maybe he might be an option off the bench in the league as well. You never know. If you need a little spark off the bench, he could provide that. But I'm not really expecting much from him. Like anything that he gives us as a positive, I think that's a bonus right now. I think right now this season is kind of just like his getting used to the culture and the country kind of season. And then from next season, if he has something about him, then he could be a part of the first team on a more consistent basis next season.
Yeah. If he can get Dan James out of the match day squad, then
Dan James hasn't even been in the match day squad the last few games.
Yeah.
So I think Ollie's kind of done with Dan James. If I'm being honest, I think the jig's kind of up on him. He's realised he's gonna get fired the more he play, the quickly he plays Dan James.
But the thing is that even with Carabao Cup games, we don't have one till December.
Yeah, shit, that's crazy.
That's
the quarter final as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quarter final versus Everton, and it's away.
No.
So yeah.
So
all right, maybe under 18s.
So even then, like the amount of games he might be able to play is going to be short. I think it's going to be a thing where if we have loads of injuries and the fixtures are piling up, he might be on the bench. He might come on and stuff like that. But you spoke about getting games from January, and this last guy, Ahmad Traore. We don't say the Traore for some reason, but you know.
Apparently he's going by Ahmad Diallo. So
yeah. So Ahmad Diallo potentially going to cost us 36 million. It came kind of out of nowhere, but since it's happened, I feel like the hype has just been growing and growing, and that's just good. The clips of the kid look fucking mad. I don't think I understand. The first thing I've done when we're heavily linked with Pelestri and Diallo, I said cool. First one I watched was Pelestri on YouTube. That 10-minute clip, he looked decent, he looked good. I saw Diallo and I just felt there was a step up immediately. He looks cold. He looks so good. But he's coming in January because of work permit issues. And with him, are we giving him the same expectation as Pelestri, or do you feel there's going to be a bit more pressure on him to try and break into the squad and kind of mirror what Greenwood done last season?
There's more pressure on him for a number of reasons. One, his price tag. Two, the expectation, not even from us, just from where he's coming from. Like, if you ask people in, like, from Syria pundits, analysts, scouts, everything like that, him and his brother are looked at as two of the biggest talents to come out of Syria in the last 15 years. His brother's at Sassuolo and he's balling, and Ahmad is looked at as the bigger talent as his brother. So when we was linked with him and when we signed him, all the guys that cover Syria, Fabrizio Romano, Norwegian geezer, everyone, they're like, yeah, this talent is fantastic. His captain at Atalanta, Papu Gomez, raving about him, absolutely raving about him. You know what I mean? So he's already touted as a massive talent, and that's reflected by the fact that he's willing to invest so much money into him right at the start of his career. The other thing that is the expectation from us, because we've seen him, we've heard all these reviews. Everyone, he passes the YouTube test with flying colours. He passes the Europa Youth League test. He scored on his first team debut for Atalanta. And Atalanta has like a reputation of producing like quality players, like Kuvalevski, that's at Juventus right now. They signed him for like 40 million. You know what I mean, as well. Like, and he's coming into a team at United that he's a right winger. He's a natural right winger. He's a natural playmaking right winger, dribbler type. This is the type of player we've been crying out for the last 10 years. So he's and this is the type of player we was chasing all summer, you know what I mean? And he's the one we got. So we're kind of like pinning our hopes on him being our savior, which is unfair on the kid. It's an unfair expectation to have. But me personally, I'm speaking for myself, like, as a United fan, I've just been dying for players that excite me. You know what I mean? Dying, like, and this is even going back to the Fergie days. Like, honest to God, like, even back to the Fergie days, like, after we lost Ronaldo, I was just like, please, like, can we just sign a player that's exciting? You know what I mean? That gets me off my seat. And this is what Ahmad Diallo is. You know what I mean? So he's bringing back the feel. I hope I'm on my knees that he's a success, because if he's a success, like, he could be like a culture changing signing for this club. You know what I mean? He could be the type of player that, like, could be like a franchise type player for the next 10 years along with Greenwood. You know what I mean? That will take us into the next, like, era of us being a quality team. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of pressure on the 18-year-old, but he just looks good, man. Like, we could only go for what we've seen and what we've heard, and, like, it's only been overwhelmingly positive. You know what I mean? So that's why we're all reacting like this way.
Stevie?
I was looking at you two, yeah, both, yeah, as you were speaking about it, yeah. Reemz, yeah, the smile did not leave his face.
I'm so excited,
I
man.
am excited. Like, I am bursting with excitement. Like, I wish I could sleep until January. That's how excited.
But that's the mad thing. Like, I completely agree with everything you said. He looks like such a talent. He's been over here in Europe doing it, which obviously, I guess, from my analysis and understanding, like, the education, I guess, is more suited to the Premier League. And I think physically as well, like, he just looks to me like far stronger than Pellistri did. So I think he'd be able to make more of an immediate impact at United. But again, the guy is 18, so we can't be expecting too much of him. And, like, to your point, Reemz, we kind of been dying for a right winger since Ronaldo left. Do you know what I mean? And then this summer, the whole summer, we thought we were going to get Sancho, and now we've got Diallo. So the expectations...
He's a young 18 as well. Like, Facu Pellistri is going to be 19 in December. Like, Ahmad turned 18 in July. Like, that's the other day. Like, you know what I mean? So the young 18 as well.
That's mad. So yeah, I just think, like, I just hope we don't put too much pressure on his shoulders, because, you know, football Twitter, 2 bad games and the Arsenal fans will be on him. So I just hope he can come do his thing. Obviously, we got Ronaldo.
Saliba, and he's getting shipped out.
He's getting shipped out on loan, bro.
If that happens with this kid,
it's a write-off. So yeah, obviously we saw Ronaldo when he came from Sporting. And the games he played in, he just looked like he had that level. So that's what I'd be hoping from Diallo, just to show that he's got some potential there. Maybe perhaps not the end output that we're looking for now, But yeah, I guess obviously with Greenwood playing on the right wing now, hopefully, I mean they're similar kind of age. Hopefully, he can come and do something a bit more exciting than Greenwood, because Greenwood's a striker. He's not a right winger, so yeah, something from the right side of the pitch, please. It's not coming from Wan-Bissaka. It's not coming from Greenwood.
Greenwood offers something different. Like Ahmad Diallo is going to offer like more natural wing characteristics. So I'm talking about width, playmaking, crossing, dribbling. You know what I mean? Greenwood is more like a kind of like a link kind of player. You know what I mean? Kind of like a give and go. He's a striker. You know what I mean? And like I don't mind Greenwood playing. A lot of people have issue with Greenwood playing on the wing. Listen, like he's not the first striker to have to play on the wing, and he's not the last. You know what I mean? Cavani was playing on the wing for Ibrahimovic in his prime, so like an 18-year-old can flip and play on the wing. You know what I mean? Like it's not the end of the world, but Jallo's just gonna offer that real natural width that we don't have because we play two strikers on the wing. Everything is so narrow because both of them naturally want to come inside. So Ahmad, I'm hoping is just gonna offer that real traditional wing skill set that we're desperately needing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's Ahmad and inshallah, boy. That's what we're hoping for him.
I'm rooting for him, man. I hope he bangs. I added him to United on FIFA yesterday, and I was.
You are keen.
he's bringing the feels back, man. I hope he brings us joy, man. I'm praying.
But you mentioned Ronaldo, and it made me think that we've actually had the good history of like young players just coming in and setting the world alight. We have
a strong collection of like teenage performers, and honest to God, like we do.
And then even if you think about with Martial, came in with that pressure at 19, 36 million at least. He came in, set the world. So in terms of his season, given the fact that he's going to have half a season with us, and it's going to be the business end of the season, and it's going to be a more regular season where things are more spaced out. Given that fact that there's going to be important games, what do you think how are we going to utilize him?
Well, first of all, I think an important thing that we need to consider is how much football is he going to play? How much first team football is he going to play between now and January for his team? Because the team he plays for, offensively, they are stacked. Like, so it's going to be, I would be more confident of him coming straight into the lineup if I knew he was going to get consistent quality minutes playing first team football now. And he's been on, and like he's on the bench, like he's a part of their first team. Like he's been on the bench at the last 4 or 5 games or whatever. But it's just so hard to actually like get any good quality minutes for that team because they're averaging like 4 goals a game. Like, you know what I mean? Like I know like when we was first linked with him, apparently he's going to go out on loan to Parma.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to go out. It would have been good if that happened. Like if he went to a team where we knew he was going to be playing week in, week out. So like he'll be ready to come straight into like a first team environment when he comes here. But either way, he's coming straight into the first team. He spent 40 million on him. He's coming straight into the first team, and we're gonna want an impact and a spark. So if he comes in, how many games would there be between January and May? Like 20, 25, 30?
Depending on if we get into the next round.
United stages of that ain't happening.
And then the League Cup.
If we finish third in a group and get into the Europa League, that'll probably benefit him.
It'll probably benefit us.
That'll probably benefit us as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because we ain't making no waves in the Champions League this year. Obviously, being in the Champions League is a benefit for the money and, of course, attracting a higher caliber of player. But when they're just there to make up the numbers, it's still kind of shit. You know what I mean? Especially like when they're getting slapped around, it's still kind of shit. You know what I mean? So if we fall into Europa League, that would be beneficial for him. But I just feel like when he comes in, he's gonna play. Like I just don't see how he's not gonna play. Like we've put so much time into this signing, we've put so much scouting into the signing, we've invested a lot of money into the signing. So he's gonna come and play, and I feel like anything he does, if he gets 2 goals and 2 assists, I'll be happy with that. because he's showing that he's ready to contribute at this kind of level already so early into his career. You know what I mean?
You spoke about the time put in. So, according to reports, we've been scouting him since under 15. Then he played a game versus Man City in the UEFA Youth League, and I think 2 days afterwards, the Atalanta board were contacted by us, and we've been negotiating this deal for a year, according to them. Apparently he
got money out of us as they possibly could.
Yep. So apparently he was going to go on loan to Parma, and it looked like we weren't going to get him. But then that broke down, and then that's why we came in all guns blazing with a big bid.
Especially after Sancho broke down.
Yep. So with our youth recruitment, so we've seen with Palestri and we've seen with Diallo. Compare that to Tellez and Cavani, where it seemed like we were just scratching around and we've settled on these two. What do you think is the main driver between our youth recruitment being so almost detailed and just like what you expect of a big team to do?
I think obviously with youth scouting it's a little bit different in it, because your youth scouting team is completely different to your first team scouting team. Your first team scouting team, a lot of the signings kind of have to get signed off by the owners and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But whereas with youth recruitment, it gets signed off by like the head of recruitment for that. So is that Nicky? But I'm not really sure who our head of recruitment is, but for the academy. But if you look at our youth signings over the last 18 months or so, we've signed some of the best under 18 players available in the world. Looking at Hannibal Mejbri, the kids we got from Spain, the centre back we got from France. I mean, we've been signing some of the better under 18 players available in the world. So it just shows that the kind of like attention to detail and the kind of like quality of reporting and quality of scouting we're getting from our academy is getting better. Whereas the first team, it's kind of like no one can kind of like agree on what type of player we need, what type of player we should be going for, how much money we should spend on these kind of players. So I feel like United have kind of been relying on youth to bail us out for a while now. We're looking at 19-year-old Anthony Martial, 18-year-old Marcus Rashford, 18-year-old Mason Greenwood. Like, we've just been relying on these young players to come in and outperform their age for years now. And it's about time our first team signings live up to what they're signed to do as much as our kids are. You know what I mean? If we could get a good balance between that, I feel like then we could have something going. Like, we signed Bruno Fernandes because we needed him. And then we signed Donny van der Beek, who basically plays in the same position, who would have been a better fit in the first place, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of stuff like that that kind of just makes it more difficult to really build a nice, cohesive team. But I can't complain about the youth signings we've been making. The first team signings, it's been bad, and we know it's been bad, and it needs to improve. And if that's a director of football, someone who actually really knows football and isn't a pencil pusher or a numbers guy, that's what we're gonna have to do. But something needs to be done.
Yeah, I think with obviously the first team signings, I think there's just a lot of egos flying about. Be that from the manager. To be honest, I don't know how much involvement Ole has in the signings. It seems like he just kind of agrees or vetoes them at the end. There's a lot of egos at the board level with the owners and then with agents as well. So I just think it's because of the large sums of money potentially being banded around and handed about. There's a lot of egos flying. There's no consistent approach. Whereas with our youth, we've kind of always had the mode of going for exciting young players, and that's never really changed. So I think you can always spot a United youth team player and you can go in and get them. But then I also think there's a shift in focus and in priorities. Like, I think there's a recognition that, to be honest, like with the signings, it's not sustainable to try and build a team that's going to compete with Liverpool or Man City in like the next 1 or 2 years. Like, we'd have to be spending bucket loads of money. So I think there's just a realization that, look, we might not be here in 2 years, but we might try and catch them in like 4 or 5 with this new batch of young players. And then also, like in terms of generating revenue as well, like you see City have been doing it, you see Chelsea have been doing it for years, where you invest in young players, and then even if they don't turn out to be the world-class players you hope for, like you can at least retain and get some money back in the transfer window, which we are just
We're
struggling
very bad at that as well. We're so bad
really
at that.
struggling to do. Like Chelsea net spend, like in previous years, they were absolutely killing it. I saw Bakayoko went back on loan again. I'm like, how did they still own this guy? Like actually just making money off youth players. Obviously Bakayoko is not one of them, but just tons of youth players like Van Ginkel, like year on year. You don't even see them play for their team, but they're bringing in revenue. So yeah, man, I think that's the strategy at the moment for us.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think about, because I remember, I think we faced Chelsea in the FA Youth Cup in, I think it was the 4th round, 3rd round or something, and this was the team that Rashford was in. They got absolutely smashed, and then there was this big article saying how United's academy has gone to waste since Fergie's left and stuff like that. And they put time and effort into getting new scouts, getting new recruitment, structuring the whole thing, but was behind a lot of it. And you see now where we're able to, we're bringing through youngsters, we're signing the best youngsters, and it's just a case study for the first team, just to show if you put the time and effort into building it properly, look where you can be. And
the reason why the academy had to do that is because we were competing against Man City and Chelsea, who were killing it at youth recruitment level, getting the best talent from the UK, from abroad. So United had to make that adjustment to keep up with those guys who are kind of like the benchmark. And the benchmark in first team football is Liverpool as well. So we have to do the same thing. We can't keep just doing what we're doing and hoping one day it's going to work. We have to make adjustments so we could compete with those teams, like, because Liverpool made those adjustments as well, and that's why they're so successful now. Man City, of course, they've been well run since the takeover. Like, you know, well, I guess their fans might say different, but from that project's been pretty successful so far. You know what I mean? So we can't just keep going over the same routine, season in, season out, what we're doing, and failing every year. Like, eventually we got to say, this isn't working, what else can we do?
Facts. But anyway, enough talk about the future. Well, let's talk about the near future, in fact. Our next game is versus Newcastle. It's going to be away, I think. I'll double check that. I think it's away. But Martial's going to be suspended. So, and Cavani might not be able to play because he might have to quarantine. So, in terms of, and there was an interesting thing Solskjaer said after the Spurs game, where he said something is going to have to change, different training, different attitude, and different formation. So,
did you say formation?
I think I'm pretty sure he said formation. He might have just been throwing out examples of what he might have to do just to change stuff. But so
he's on a firing block right now. So
so in terms of what you would like to see versus Newcastle, what would it be?
A new manager in the dugout, preferably. But
I'd like to see Luke Shaw dropped. I'd like to see Harry Maguire dropped. I'd like to see Aaron Wan-Bissaka dropped. I'd like to see Tellez come in, maybe Tuanzebe, Ethan Laird. I'd probably say 4-3-3, Matic, Pogba, Van der Beek, front three, Rashford, Greenwood, Bruno Fernandes out on the right. That's what I'd like. That's not happening. That's just what I'd like to see. I feel like right now that's just a little freshen up for our team that we desperately need right now. Obviously, we know Maguire is going to play. Wan-Bissaka is probably going to play, but I think Tellez might come in, and I think the front three. I think Greenwood might start up front, and I think Juan Mata might start on the right wing. I think that'll be the adjustments, like the simple adjustments that Ollie will make, like nothing too like outrageous.
If Van der Beek is not starting against Newcastle, like there needs to be a real inquisition, because
Why they signed it?
yeah, because you've got questions to answer. Then, like 40 million, why are you signing, man? And then you're actually just saying that, yeah, like you're rewarding trash because Pogba
We're struggling and he's not. We're struggling. We spent 40 million on him. Like, let him be useful. Like, you know what I mean?
He has to come in. And then Maguire desperately needs to be dropped, just to show that, if not for his performances, just to show that, like you are droppable. But again, I don't think Ole has the balls. So to your point, I think we're going to see Juan Mata, and I'm going to be pissed off.
You know what? The reason why Ole won't drop Maguire and Wan-Bissaka is because they're his signings. So it reflects poorly on him. You know what I mean?
At least with James, it's more like, you know what, you cost 15 million, it doesn't really matter.
He was never supposed to be starting in the first place, you know what I mean? So
them, man.
30 million on 2 players and I could drop them after a season. That's not a good look.
But the question is, Bailly going to play again?
Do you know what? He just got Ollie's trust back after grinding, and then we get hit for 6. Like, he might be cursed. Because I would not be surprised if we didn't see Lindelof come straight back into that team.
Honestly.
But Maguire deserves to be dropped more than Bailly, you know what I mean?
100. I think, yeah, I'd love to see a Bailly Twanzebe combo. Or even...
What's the worst that can happen? The worst that happen? We lose by 6. Like, that's already happened. You know what I mean? Like...
but yeah, that game could be interesting because... obviously, Newcastle have got a better forward line than they did in years gone by. I do feel like Wan-Bissaka would have the best of St. Maximin, though. But Callum Wilson could be a problem. He started the season fairly hot. And the thing about Newcastle is they'll work. Like, they'll work. To be honest, there's no real easy games in the Premier League anymore, barring about Fulham. So... boy, I don't know how much time he's going to actually have with the players ahead of the match, but it could be very techie.
Yeah, you're actually right to mention that, because there's going to be internationals on Wednesday. So that leaves, and we're playing.
When's the game, on Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday, 8 p.m. Okay. And it's going to be away. So that generally is Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning. So I doubt we're going to see much of a difference.
You think Palestri will be in the team?
Honestly, if I was Solskjaer, I would honestly just cause a madness. I would do the maddest things, because heads have to roll after that. You can't.
Palestri on the left wing, Rashford on the front, Greenwood on the right.
Bro, like stuff has to happen. I might fuck around and play 3 at the back. Wan-Bissaka, Bailly, and Shaw. Just tear up the whole thing.
There's left wing back.
Yeah, bro. I can't lie. Like, just tear up the whole thing, because basically people are looking for heads to roll after that performance. Because, yeah, man, I don't even want to go through it again. But in terms of the most realistic lineup, goalkeeper's probably going to be De Gea. Right back. Who you going?
Yeah, he's going to play. He has to be fair, he should play. I wouldn't be mad at him starting.
The centre back pairing.
To be like, if he's a real manager, he has to start Bailly, because he's not given Bailly a chance to get back to anything resembling his top form. I think he needs a few games, because he hasn't had a series of games in a long time. I think the problem is Solskjaer picked him not because he trusts him. I think he picked him just because Lindelof was playing so badly that he thought he had to make a change. But if Lindelof comes back in straight away, then that has to signal by his time at the club is done. No, so personally, I'd go for Bailly again. I think Bailly can handle Callum Wilson anyway, and then. Yeah, we're obviously going to see Maguire again. So,
Because Twan Zebic just coming back to fitness. Actually, he had a surgery in the summer. So he barely played last season as well. So I don't think we're going to see him for a while. Left back.
Tellers.
I'd play Tellez,
I
but
think-
we're going to see Shaw.
I actually think he'll play Tellers.
You think he will, yeah?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, because that tackle versus Spurs, that's when that's when Solskjaer decided. Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah, he was fuming, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was fuming. What formation do you think we're going to play? Do you think we're going to stick with the same formation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
yeah.
Who's going to be the double pivot then?
I think
You
we
know,
might.
you know it is. Pogba my age.
No, I actually think we might see Pogba and Fred. I actually think we might see Pogba and Fred because he kind of that's the kind of pivot that he trusted towards the back end at the Europa League, isn't it?
Yeah.
When he felt like we needed to be more solid defensively or something like that. So I think he might go with Pogba and Fred, and he brought on Fred second half, innit? At half time.
Yeah, bro,
Yes, he did.
I think we might see Pogba and Fred.
The front, the three behind striker.
Yeah, it's got to be. If he's smart, yeah, then he does what you lot have been saying for a minute, and he plays Bruno Fernandes right, and then that gives him like a risk-free way of getting Bruno Fernandes, Van der Beek, and Pogba into the same team and seeing how they do, like without being chastised by anyone, because obviously Martial's suspended. If he's not smart, and I fear he's not, then Bruno plays 10 again, Van der Beek's on the bench, and we have
One matter.
if I see Juan Mata or Lingard starting or Daniel James, any combination of that three, I'm gonna be fuming.
I honestly think we might see Juan Mata. I could feel it in my bones.
I think we will. He trusts him.
And that's just the safest decision, right?
Yeah.
You know what? Because I remember the Brighton game when he made the changes and Rashford and Pogba came on. He put Van der Beek out wide, I think. When they,
Left, yeah.
yeah, he put Van der Beek out wide. So.
God, I hope we don't see that.
I've lost the plot.
But I mean, I generally do not think he's gonna move Bruno from that 10 position. I think that Bruno has that until 2022 at least.
Facts.
But so you're saying Juan Mata, Bruno, and Rashford behind Greenwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely don't think he's playing it. I dare him play a Gallo. I dare him. I would that's not that far.
Igalo himself doesn't want to play.
All right. So given that start in 11, what do you think the score is going to be? Remember, it's October. It's St. James's Park. It's 8:00 on a Saturday night. What do you think the score is going to be?
1-0.
Yeah. Same.
Scorers?
Rashford.
Rashford.
Bruno Pen.
Rashford or Bruno Pen for real. That sounds good to me.
I think
come out that Cavani is not going to be available as well because he has to self-isolate. So yeah.
Yeah. No, there's actually no confidence in this team whatsoever. I think if we do get a win, I'd put a bet on that one of those goals are coming via penalty.
Yeah, same. We scored one open play goal this season, right? Rashford, and there was an own goal, and that's from a free kick as well. So yeah, we scored one open play goal.
It's crazy.
All right. So we got a few listeners' questions to wrap it up. First one is, do you think there was ever any intention of signing Sancho given they knew the requirements?
Who fooled you?
100%.
Who fooled you?
We were trying to sign Sancho all summer. The issue is we thought Dortmund would budge on their requirements and their requests, and they didn't budge, not even an inch. Not even an inch. United felt like, oh, this team ain't serious. They'll just bend to our will. Where Manchester United and Dortmund was like, nah. They had all the leverage, you know what I mean? And United were naive in their attempt. So yeah.
Spot on.
Guess who that question came from, Reemz?
Who?
MUFC for the fans.
My guy, he's not missed. He hasn't missed in a while.
That guy's not missed, bro.
He hasn't missed in a while.
Next question. Which of the current players do you think are the most similar to Pellistri and Diallo in terms of playing style?
I don't think we have anyone like Diallo. None. To Pellistri, Anthony Elanga.
So, fam, I can't even lie. That guy's better than James as well.
On 100%.
Better than James.
100% he is.
Yeah, I think it's like that question is mad because the fact that like these two players are probably gonna come into our team and be the trickiest players we have in our squad, both at 18. Yeah, for a whole Man United, that's mental, man.
Yeah, we haven't got a profile. Not even in our academy, we don't have a player like Ahmad Diallo. So yeah, we really need him.
What are you saying? You're not buying into Chong's hype?
Man said, "Wow."
If he's playing left back, I'm listening.
Hey, you was cold at left back.
That's a shout. That's a shout.
Cameo was the most exciting thing that's happened to me in maybe like the last 3 months. He was cooking that in that.
Sorry, that last question was from Harry Adams 1. Next one is from Mank Savelli. Thoughts about the board finally refusing to get bumped for English talent and fully utilising the scouting system like we've been begging to. Woodward said enough is enough.
A year too late. We could have done with that last summer before we shipped out 130 million on 2 bums. But
right,
yeah.
Don't forget Dan James as well. Have you not noticed, like, last summer, these lot were like, yeah, we need to buy the best of pure British talent.
That's the pure British.
It was missed. All we did was miss. We said we bought the best, we bought the worst. We missed.
Honestly, we spent about 140, 150. And then the summer that we actually need the best British talent in Grealish and in Sancho, you've decided, nah, we're gonna divert from this strategy. And now we've gone to Uruguay and Italy. It's mad. It just shows the level of disorganization.
But you know the funniest thing with Ahmad Diallo, yeah? If he actually claimed Italy, we would have been able to sign him straight away.
Yeah.
That's why we couldn't sign him, because he doesn't claim Italy. Obviously, he's Ivorian, isn't it? That's what he claims. But obviously, he needed to sort out his Italian passport before we could sign him.
Oh, so he doesn't even have an Italian passport. Makes sense. Next question is from S Trillions. With the tough run of games coming up, do you think Ole has been set up to fail, especially with the Poch rumours now floating about?
I don't think he's been set up to fail. Obviously, we can't control the fixtures we get, but he knows he's in trouble, and the board knows he's in trouble. That's why they're already laying the groundwork for his sacking before it gets. I don't want to say it gets really bad, because I feel it's pretty bad right now, right?
Yeah,
but it's gonna get ugly over the next couple of weeks. So the board have already started laying the groundwork for his replacement when it does eventually get ugly.
To be fair,
I don't feel like they set him up to fail, but they're pretty sure he's going to.
Before you go on, Steve, I'm gonna go through what we have until December. So, obviously, Newcastle on Saturday, PSG away on Tuesday, Chelsea at home the next Saturday.
That might be a double.
Leipzig at home after that on the Wednesday. Arsenal at home on the Saturday. Istanbul, Balaclava first on.
That might be a W. That one we might scream
after that.
Is it in Turkey?
Yes, it's in Turkey.
They got man like Robinho and Raphael. Like
Oh, yeah,
If they allow them Turkish fans with the flares into the stadium,
that team is a ragtag bunch of misfits, fam. Cliche and them, man.
and then after that we had Everton away.
Hell,
Then we've
super
got
L. Might hold 4.
Then we've got West Brom at home. We've got the
That might be a
return.
W. That might be a W.
that's
Then
the
we-
only W.
Then we've got the return of the Istanbul game. Then we got Southampton away, and then we have PSG at home.
That's frightening. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
think, what month is PSG at home?
December,
That
The
might be
start-
Ollie's. That might be Ollie's last game.
start of December.
Actually, if he makes it that far, I'll be impressed. If he makes it to if Ollie, whatever date that is, if Ollie makes it to that date,
The
I will
2nd of December,
I will eat one of my dreads if he makes it to the 2nd of December.
because you have to understand. In our next 6 games after Newcastle, we have PSG, Chelsea, Leipzig, Arsenal, and Everton.
Everton, that's the game he gets fired. I'm putting
Yeah.
out, what date is that? I'm putting
That is the 7th of November.
I'm putting it in my
Party
calendar.
time.
7th of November is Ollie Day, where he gets fired. Let me put it in my calendar right now.
But
put-
honestly, that is frightening.
He is not making it past that Everton game because we're gonna hold 4. Calvert-Lewin,
Do you know what the scary thing is? Anytime I think this guy's out the door, the players put their
Fam,
heart on their
he's a survivor. He's a survivor, isn't it? He's a survivor now.
I
He's a
swear to God, Rashford goes up 10 levels. Martial goes up 15. Fred pulls out some of the best midfield performers I've ever seen in my life. They make me sick, man. They
I'm
love
not-
that guy for some reason.
They proper love him. They actually love him.
Yeah. I'm not one of them guys, yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. The players need to down tools. They need to have one of them secret meetings.
I'm so against downing tools. I'm actually so against it. Like
I hate it because
I was only for it when it was Jose. Like any other manager, you've got to give your manager the best chance. Like even if they're not good, like Jose was a charlatan. I wanted him out of there.
Man said,
bro. That's the only way to describe Jose. Like by the end, he was just an imposter, bro. Like he wasn't there to win games. He was just there to ruin stuff.
He was, but the thing was, Jose was sabotaging himself, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100. But yeah, the players need to realize, like, for the sake of our club, like, yo, we need my man gone. So just down tools for like 3-4 games, and let's move, fam. Let's move.
Joe, the thing is, yeah, when players down tools, I hate seeing United lose. You know, I actually hate it.
I
So
do.
it just pisses me off even more. But all right, I think this is the last question. How many goals is Cavani bagging this season? And yeah, I think we already answered this question, but I'll say it anyway. What does his signing mean for Martial and Greenwood?
If Cavani gets anything between 10 to 12 goals, I'll be happy with that. Honest to God, I'll be happy with that. And I don't think it means much for Martial and Greenwood. It just means like we're less reliant on them to be performing week in, week out. So it kind of helps them, if anything. It means they have a little bit more time to rest. They get rotated in and out of the team more, so they don't have to get run into the ground. So yeah.
Yeah, I think 12 is probably the magic number. I think it's going to be interesting actually to see how many goals Greenwood gets this season, to be honest, because I don't feel like he's getting as much time afforded on the ball as he was last season. And obviously he had bare Europa League games to play in last season. This year in the Champions League, will he feature as much, especially if Diallo comes in?
He got 10 in the league though, so which was pretty sick for his rookie season.
Yeah. But I don't know if we're gonna be afforded the same luxury this season. The way the season's going, it might be tight for him. But yeah, hopefully he can get into double figures as well.
All right. That's the end. I hope you enjoyed. Got a bit more insight into our 4 new signings. Remember, use the hashtag TouchlineFracas when you're discussing on the timeline tomorrow. Share it wherever you can. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed today. Peace, bros.
Thank you.
When I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.